I had this plan to make a really, really solid episode today. But you know, things are happening, stuff's going on, plans get changed. My plans, for me, got a lot better today. My Uncle Dave came over. And if I didn't say it in the first part, my phone's broken. So there's no way to get in touch with me if you're not on Facebook or Twitter and all that stuff all the time. So he comes over, he's like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, nothing. He's like, you want to go for a ride? Maybe, you know, hang out for a little while? I was like, sure. So I grabbed my guitar, got in his car, and we left my house. Which is always nice. I like leaving my house. Doing anything. I hate staying in one spot all the time. But anyway. So we end up coming up with the idea to go to Hull, to the Hull Forts. If you don't know, I live in New England, particularly Massachusetts. Massachusetts, there's a town called Hull. There was like some military installation stuff there back in World War II, and now pretty much it's abandoned. Like all the weapons and stuff are gone. It's not, you wouldn't know it was like a military place or a government place if you didn't, like if nobody told you. It just looks like an abandoned like series of like concrete buildings. So some type of company or entity or government like project thing owns that location. So you're not allowed to be in the buildings like down where they are, but you can be up on the hill and hang out there until like 7 when the area closes. So we didn't know that you couldn't go down into the buildings. So that's where we were. So we get there, go down, we're hanging out, you know, talking about stuff. We talked about like Hollywood stuff, and he told me about some of the history of where we were, which is all cool. Our conversations are always entertaining. Now, I know I've talked about it before. I myself and the person I was with partake in marijuana, or weed, or pot, or smoke, or whatever you want to call it. We smoke pot. It's not a big secret. So before we like start jamming, we were gonna like film us playing, because it like looks like a place where you would have like an outdoor concert. It's a really cool place. So before we start jamming, we start smoking, which is all good, you know, just hanging out, having a good time, talking about like Star Wars and shit. And like he told me the history of the place, and I told him about like Disney buying all Lucasfilm stuff, and we talked about just all kinds of stuff. So we're talking for a while, and you know, talk about this and talk about that, and discuss stuff. I don't know. We were talking. So eventually, I'm like, hey, we came here to jam, let's jam. So I am facing, say I am me, and I'm facing you, which is towards the building, like into the building. And you are facing me towards the hill and towards the street. So You are the person I was with. I'm facing into the building. I can't see behind me. The person I'm with goes, oh, I think we got company. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, fuck. Because during our talk and our smoke period, he gave me his, heavier jacket to wear. Because I was cold. Or he thought I was cold. So he gave me his jacket, which is very nice. It was a nice jacket. Can be warm. So, in his jacket pocket is a closed, not open, beer bottle. I don't know what kind it was. Probably, I don't know. So, as we go to jam, I have the pipe in my hand. So I was like, oh, I'll just put this in my pocket. We'll pull it out in a little while again after we play for a while. So I'll just keep it in my pocket for now. In my pocket. Not the person I'm with's pocket. So that's where that is. There's the closed container of alcohol in the person I'm with's jacket that I was wearing. In the person I'm with's pants pocket was the rest of the weed. It was a good amount of weed. So he says, oh, I think we're a company. Aw, fuck. Turn around. State cop. This big dude. Even if I could have noticed his name, I wouldn't say it here. So he's like, what are you guys doing? You're just hanging out? We're like, yeah, we're just gonna jam, to get away for a while, relax, get some peace back in our lives at the moment. So he's like, well, could you guys come up here for a minute? And I wanted to say, I don't know, that hill looks kind of steep, but I couldn't get away with that because there were stairs that we came down, so I didn't say anything, and it would have been dumb to say anything. So we go up the hill, and he tells us about the fact that we're not allowed to go down into the buildings. Mind you, there's no signs posted anywhere up the road, anywhere down the road, or anywhere on the property that says, like, no trespassing, or, like, the buildings are off limits, they're not taped off or anything, they're all wide open, and they even have doors. But we can't go down there. But up on the hill, it's perfectly fine. It's like public property until the area closes, whatever. So we're like, oh, that's understandable. At the place, there's been like all kinds of vandalism and stuff like that. And you can see it in some of the pictures I took, because I really like the location. It like looks abandoned and old, and I don't know, I want to film something there, but I don't know exactly what yet. And it's kind of a pain to get to. So you gotta go like through the town, and I hate that town. No offense if you're from Hull or anything like that, but driving through your town is annoying just because the streets are narrow. Well, it's not that the streets are narrow. I'm not gonna get into why I don't like going through there. So there's no signs posted anywhere saying you can't go down there. So we didn't know. So we're like, oh, okay, we can't go down there. We'll stay up here. That's fine. Then the cop asked to pat us down to make sure we're not like shooting heroin or anything down there. So part of me was like, okay, that's understandable. He's gonna make sure we're not gonna like pull out a weapon and like try to kill him when he turns to the other person or anything. That's fine. It's for his safety. It's just procedure and all that stuff. But in the other part of my mind, I'm under 21. I have alcohol on my person and a pipe that both has clearly been used to smoke marijuana and still has marijuana in it in my pocket. So he first, the person I was with down first, and he's patting him down. He's like, do you have any knives or anything? And everything was good. There's no problems or anything. he checks his pants pocket. And he's like, what's that? Weed? My first thought was just like, yep. Like, really quick. Mm-hmm. So the guy pulls it out, looks at it, and puts it back. Now, I've never seen that before. Usually they take it and, like, put it on the hood of the car or something. Now, it could have just been that his car was, like, 25, 30 yards away and he didn't want to make the walk back and forth if he found anything on us. That's understandable. Maybe he just didn't want to put it on the ground or anything. Or, I don't know. But I've never seen them put anything back in your pocket that wasn't, like, your wallet. But anyway, that's note number one. Well, okay. To recap, the rest of the person I was with, marijuana, is in his pants pocket. A closed beer bottle is in his jacket pocket, which I am wearing, and the pipe with pot still in it is in my pocket. So, cop finds the pot, sees it, puts it back. Keep that in mind. Well, don't keep that in mind, but make a mental note or something. So, everything is fine. And he goes to pat me down. And he's like, do you have any weapons on you, or any knives or needles in any of these pockets that's going to stick me? And I was like, nope, everything's good. I don't carry anything on me. I'm pretty much as close to a pacifist as I can get without being a pacifist. But, so he's patting me down. And he starts here, which is my right side, because that's the way he came towards me. So he, like, pats the outer jacket down real quick, and then comes to the left of me, pats that down, finds the beer bottle, and puts it back. Then, as it seemed like he was pulling away, like he was done, he must have noticed that I had a second jacket on. And he checks those pockets. He finds my iPod, and he finds the pipe. And he feels the pipe, pulls it out, can clearly see that there's at least marijuana residue on the pipe, and puts it back. This is mind-blowing at this point. So he's like, alright, let me have your licenses and IDs and all that stuff. So we give him those, and he goes to his car, and we're like, shit. And we're like, kind of freaking out for a second. But he comes back, and he's like, we have two things to deal with. He's like, well, first being the pot, and he's like, either I can give you a $100 citation for it, or you can dump it out right now. And okay, well, we'll get rid of it. I'd rather lose what I have now than lose another 100 and what I have, because he was gonna take it if he gave us the ticket. So we're like, all right, we'll dump it out. So we got off with that. And he's like, pretty much what he meant was, the beer's closed. I can't prove that it's for me, meaning me, and it's in your jacket, so we'll pretty much ignore that. But he didn't seem to care that much. But he's like, you know, like how much shit you could be in, right? Like, he didn't say it like that, but he's like, you know how much shit you could be in, right? And we're both like, yeah, we get it, we know. So he's like, so he makes the person I'm with dump the rest of the pot out, and he pretty much completely ignores me. Like, he doesn't even let me go over there to where they dumped it out. He's like, just stay here for a second. I was like, alright. So I'm watching, dumps it out, comes back, and doesn't even, like, come back to take the alcohol or the pipe or anything. He's just like, alright, you guys have a nice evening. And he leaves. he wasn't waiting at the bottom of the hill for us to drive away so he could get us for, like, driving under the influence or something. He wasn't, like, down the street in town waiting for us to leave so he could get us there. He wasn't, like, parked behind a bush just watching us to see what we did. Nothing. He left. Think about that. Think about what we got off with. Trespassing on what I assume is government property, even though there's no trespassing signs. I don't know if that could actually be charged. I don't know what the word is, but getting alcohol to a minor, which apparently, if you're related to the minor, not like a minor, but an underage person, you're allowed to have alcohol around them. He told us that. I didn't know that. And it was closed, so I wasn't drinking, obviously. Like a half an ounce of pot that was not being used. We had paraphernalia with pot inside of it, and he let us go. That never happens. I don't know how to explain it, but I think, like, since I got this thing, my little Buddha guy, I haven't had any like, terrible situations happen to me. Like, at all. The only, like, negative thing that's happened, really, since I came home from Northbridge, and since I came home with that, is, like, my friend was sad, so I had to try to cheer her up again. That's it. I could be in jail right now. But I'm not. And that's awesome.